All right, let's talk about something that could save you a whole lot of money and a whole lot of headaches. Is your financial advisor actually playing by the rules? We're going to dive into the official playbook that's supposed to govern that relationship, because honestly, knowing these rules is your best defense for protecting your money. Let's get right into it.
And this really cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? When your advisor tells you to make a move, are they thinking about what's best for you or what's best for them? It seems like a simple question, but the answer is everything. It's the bedrock of your entire financial relationship, so let's break down what that really means.
So what we're really talking about here is something called a conflict of interest. And you know what? It's pretty much the #1 reason all these financial regulations even exist. The whole idea is to make sure the advice you're paying for is truly for your benefit and not just lining somebody else's pockets. This image here just says it all, right? You see those two arrows, one for you, one for your advisor, and they're pointing in totally different directions. That right there is the conflict. The path that makes them the most money might be the exact opposite of the path that helps you reach your goals.
Okay, so let's put an official definition on it. A conflict of interest is any situation where your advisor might be, let's say, tempted to put their own financial interests ahead of yours. Think about it like this. Would you trust a rave review from a food critic if you found out they secretly own the restaurant? No way, right? It's the exact same principle.
Okay, so now we know what a conflict of interest is. The next logical question is, well, where do these things tend to pop up? Let's take a look at some of the most common places where potential problems can hide.
This chart lays out some of the usual suspects. A really big one is compensation. I mean, if an advisor suggests a product that just so happens to pay them a higher commission, you got to ask, is this really the best choice for me, or are there better, cheaper options out there? The same goes for when a firm pushes its own proprietary products or makes money from referring you somewhere else. These are exactly the kinds of situations where you need to be asking questions.
Now, I know this can all sound a little worrying, but the good news is there's a system designed to handle all of this. It's not just a bunch of boring legal rules. It's actually a pretty straightforward 3-step solution designed to protect you, the investor. And here is that playbook. If an advisor faces a material conflict of interest, they've got 3 main options. The best one, by far, is to just avoid it completely. If that's not possible, then they have to control it with some really strict internal rules. And at the absolute bare minimum, they have to disclose it to you clearly and in writing so you know exactly what's going on. But here's a really crucial point. Just telling you about a conflict is not enough. An advisor can't just say, hey, just so you know, this benefits me, and then just carry on like nothing happened. Nope. Disclosure is the starting point, not a get-out-of-jail-free card. They have to actually take steps to resolve that conflict in your best interest. Let's look at a real-world example from the rulebook to see how this works. There's this advisor, Jonas, who owns a piece of a tax prep business. Now, if he wants to refer one of his investment clients to that business, he can't just casually mention it over coffee. He has to get official approval from his firm and give the client a written notice that spells out the conflict. Only then can he make the referral. See? That's how the system is meant to work. All right, now let's talk about the big no-nos. These are the things that are so bad for investors, so potentially damaging, that they are completely banned. If you ever see any of these, it is a giant waving red flag. Think of this as your cheat sheet for spotting trouble. A good advisor will always, and I mean always, get your authorization before making a trade. If an advisor ever asks you to sign a blank form, don't walk, run. You want to see a long-term plan, not constant, unexplained trading that just seems to be racking up fees. And if an advisor ever asks to borrow money from you or offers to settle a dispute privately with cash, that's a huge problem. Everything should be official and go through the firm. And that frequent trading thing we just mentioned, it has a name, churning. It's when an advisor is basically just trading in your account to generate commissions for themselves with little or no actual benefit to you. There was this one case about an advisor, Hari Prasad, who convinced a client to sell a fund, costing them a penalty fee, just to buy a nearly identical fund. Who is the only person who benefited? Hari, who got a commission. That isn't just bad advice. It's against the rules. So, we've talked a lot about what your advisor should be doing, right? But the truth is, the single best way to protect yourself is to be an active participant in your own financial life. This is not a spectator sport. You are the most important player on the team.
So what does being an engaged client actually look like? Well, it's pretty simple. Keep your advisor updated on what's going on in your life. Don't be afraid to ask questions until you genuinely understand something. Please actually review your statements and trade confirmations. And if anything at all feels off, you need to say something. You are your own best advocate.
And that's a wrap. You now know what a conflict of interest is, you know the red flags to watch out for, and you know the rules that are there to protect you. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. What's the one question you're going to ask your advisor at your next meeting? Give it some thought, because the answer could make all the difference.